welcome back to All For United WFC. Manchester United are through into the 5th round after 5 goals against Newcastle yesterday, kind of lunchtime, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. It was a bit of a strange old game. We started off, we're going to get into all that. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the Newcastle away following as well, because that's definitely worth mentioning. As they said they were going to bring a lot and bring the noise, they certainly did that. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, halfway through this show, the next round draw will be happening, so we'll have live reaction to that. Who does everybody want to see in the next round? We'll get to that in about half an hour's time. So yeah, lots to dive into. Obviously, we've got a different-ish Monday panel here. So we've got Mia back on, the people will know I'm now next to a shark and the chili and the giraffe that is just above the chili. On a wall behind her there. Barry down in the bottom right-hand corner, which I'm not used to seeing in the bottom right-hand corner. It's just in the order that people joined on screen. Usually up next to me on this top row here.
This is your way of telling me I'm demoted, Connor, which is absolutely fine. It's about time somebody else did some work around here.
There you go, Mia. If in that case, Mia, you've been promoted by that logic up to the top row. And Keris, thanks for coming on, obviously, on for your debut as well. I know you were there yesterday. You amongst Andrew Wall in the comments, did the double header yesterday. You came to LSV and then went straight over to Old Trafford towards the end of the game as well.
Unfortunately, I was right in my prediction at the start of the day that I was going to see a win and then a draw. I got my hopes up in the first sort of 5 minutes at Old Trafford, and that was silly of me, wasn't it? But there we go. The favourite team won. So.
Exactly. So we've got lots to dive into as we obviously talk about the women's game on this channel as well. And yes, earlier I was waiting for you to comment just so I could mention this. It was great to see you there. I can't believe, by the way, you literally fly over just for the game and then fly back. That's very impressive. People who don't know, obviously, Erling coming from Norway just for the game. That is proper commitment right there. And be back again next weekend as well. Is absolutely mental. I'm never going to complain about an away day. I don't think ever again, having to travel a couple of hours down the road. So yes, it was great to see you as well. I see there's a couple of comments about Jace as well. I'm sure we'll get into her as well. But Mira, I want to start off. Obviously, yesterday we knew that Newcastle were going to travel well. I knew on the Saturday night from staying in the hotel that there was a lot of them there because I walked into the hotel and there was literally hundreds. And I know Ian, if he's watching as well, will attest that as well. There's a lot of Newcastle fans around, and obviously walking to the ground on Sunday morning, there was loads scattered around. So we knew that there was a lot of them. But what did you make of their, obviously, we know they're tier 3, they're top of tier 3 right now, but were you a little bit surprised, not just the numbers, but the noise they brought to LSV yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm going to apologise because my Wi-Fi is playing up big time today, so I might drop out. But no, I was surprised, but I also wasn't surprised because, with Newcastle fans, they're very passionate about their club, very passionate about football. I'm just really glad that that's transcended into the women's team. When I was walking over to meet you at the Wren beforehand, there was 3 huge coaches just full of Newcastle fans, and yeah, it was brilliant, and they were so good throughout the whole game. I think if you speak to any of the players, United or Newcastle, they would say it was probably a Newcastle home game. They were very loud, made themselves known. When the teams come out, they was waving their scarves. It was a nice sight to see because I feel like we don't really see a lot of that in the WSL. So no, they were fantastic, and I have no doubt that we'll see them in the WSL very soon. They were tremendous.
They certainly were. We're getting to kind of how they played as well, because I think on the pitch they were just as good as off it as well. To be fair, considering like I think I said it on the TikTok we did. You wouldn't believe there's 2 divisions between these 2 sides at the moment. I can't believe this. And Mia, we were spotted again. Erling spotted us and tweeted a picture of us. We've been spotted again. Maybe that's just because of where we stood yesterday. Obviously, we were a bit further to the left. If you're looking at it from behind the goal, we were towards the corner flag, right at the back. So, yeah, many people may have saw us. But yeah, if you do see us at a game, obviously come up and say hello. Keris did yesterday at half time. First time meeting yesterday. So yeah, we are approachable, I like to think. So there we go. I can't believe this, mate. Spotted quite a few times. Who'd have thought? Keris, so come on yourself in terms of the atmosphere from what it sounded like from your position, and just, I guess, were you surprised a little bit, or because Jake's saying obviously we had a couple of Newcastle fans on last week and they said they were going to be loud and And obviously, we're going to travel well, but did it surprise you how kind of well they travelled and just the noise they brought with them?
I wasn't that surprised, to be fair. I knew before the game that they reckoned they'd sold our biggest ever away allocation. I think that's what it came to as well. Obviously, yesterday, I think of all the fourth round fixtures, the attendance at LSV was like the highest by far. I think Chelsea clocked in at about 2,000, something like that. We were 4,700, and I reckon a good sort of 700 of that will have been Newcastle fans. So massive credit to them. And it's not like they were by no means sort of silenced when we put in even 2 goals going up to 5 goals. They kept that support up. It was really nice to see as well when they made a couple of substitutions in the second half. You could tell where a couple of those girls' families were, because you could see like 2 or 3 people jumping up and down, going absolutely mental, screaming their name with like banners of their name on it. So that was great to see. It's a great reminder, I think, and it's a good ego boost for us as well, that playing at Lee Sports Village against United Women is seen as such an occasion, that it brings that many fans over. So I think we can take a positive from it, and massive credit to them for the support that they brought.
Certainly is, yeah. I mean, as Charlie's kind of saying off the back of that as well, every time they got on the ball, to be fair, they were putting some strong tackles in as well. They weren't afraid of a tackle, that Newcastle backline. Celebrated like they'd scored on that one. And Barry, last kind of thing on from an atmosphere point of view from Newcastle, and also I don't know if you saw, obviously, when the players walked around as well, all of the United players, Mark Skinner, they all went and clapped the Newcastle away fans as well, and really made a point of, I know Tooney mentioned it and Mark Skinner mentioned it in their kind of post-match interview things as well, talking about the Newcastle fans, because they were certainly good to see. It certainly egged United fans on, I feel, to get a bit louder, because we needed to be because of the noise coming from the East End.
Well, I mean, everybody's sat here at the moment talking about how loud Newcastle were, and I've got to be honest, I think both Newcastle and Manchester United fans were silent for the entirety of the match, and the reason why I believe that is because I was away for the weekend, Connor, as you well know, and I had to watch mine on a mobile phone in the middle of a big old place. There was no noise whatsoever. I didn't have a clue. And of course, the way the camera angle is, it was where all the Newcastle fans seemed to be. So I didn't really get to see a huge amount of them until I started to see some of the highlights around. But listen, it's just well known. Newcastle travel well. They've travelled well in all football games. They love the sport up there. Absolutely love it. And why shouldn't they? Because it's absolutely brilliant. So listen, there was absolutely zero surprise for me to hear that they're loud, that they're cheering everything. They've got a great sense of humour for it. It's absolutely in their blood, football. And, I knew that it was going to be a good game. I'm glad that it was a good game, and I'm glad that they were still able to go out and enjoy the occasion, even though the result probably didn't get anywhere close to where they would have hoped it to be.
Yeah, I think the result's an interesting one, because every Newcastle fan I spoke to, I think they said they're obviously gutted, but I think they're pretty happy with how it went, because we're getting to it now in terms of talking about the game. I mean, Mia, I turned to you after 20, 25 minutes before Tooney scored. I was like, what? Like, I'm now worried because Newcastle getting chances. There was a little bit of a mix-up between Millie and Mary that was just like, that could have gone anywhere. Like, we saw that against Liverpool, between Millie and Mary, where the back pass was a bit all over the place. And it kind of, so those opening 20 minutes, I was like, you couldn't tell at all that there was 2 tiers below, because Newcastle were passing it around, switching the play, playing the through ball. It was like a WSL side.
Yeah, it's funny because Newcastle turn up and they have nothing to lose. On paper, they are the lesser team in terms of quality, in terms of, there's 2 tiers separating them, like you've just said. So they've turned up full of confidence because they've got a superb league form. They've got nothing to lose. They just go out there and they play the best that they can, and whatever happens, happens. United, they have to win. They absolutely have to win. And I think you could see the difference, because you could see Newcastle step up and be like, how many opportunities are we going to get to do this? Not many. So, yeah, they just took their opportunity, and they really made it an uncomfortable watch for the first 20 minutes. Yeah, it was a tough watch. Thankfully, Tooney scored when she did, because that settled everything right back down. And yeah, it's always the way. Like you've just said, you know, we saw it against Liverpool. We've seen it throughout the season. This sort of shakiness and like no one really looks like they know what they're doing, sort of thing. But no, thank God she scored when she did, because it really did tone it down. But yeah, huge credit to Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, Keris, how did you see that kind of? Was nerves starting to creep into yourself? So obviously, the Toone goal we'll get to separately in just a second, but that was after 28 minutes or so. So 25 minutes. Not saying we should have blitzed Newcastle away, but look, it was worrying me that Newcastle had. I know we had our own fair share of chance, but Newcastle had some as well. As I said, obviously that mix-up between Millie and Mary. There was a couple of times they got in down Blundell's side as well and put some decent crossing. I feel like if they had a WSL forward, I think there's somebody in there to get on the end of it. So were you a little bit worried, or how was your kind of feelings or emotions in that opening 25?
I think Mia's 100% right in the sense that Newcastle knew that they were coming to this with nothing to lose. So you could tell sort of within the opening minutes that they had been told to press our back line when they had the ball, which, I mean, credit to particularly, I think, our sort of centre to Millie and Mia. I thought they were pretty composed, as they generally tend to be, but there was a couple of, moments, like you said, that mix up between Millie and Mary, and we had one where Zellum took a sort of sloppy touch and didn't quite have the awareness that there was a girl coming in on the shoulder. I was definitely getting a little bit worried. I think you're right in the sense that if they'd had a WSL level forward and they could have been more clinical with it, then we definitely would have been in trouble. And I think I'm sure we'll get onto like rotation and the selection of the starting lineup, because that was obviously something a lot of people weren't happy with. But I think it was good to shake off a little bit of that rustiness and for the defenders to have a little bit of a wake up call in that sense before we go into Chelsea and City next week.
You've just raised important. I'll come back to the lineup. Actually, I completely forgot about it. I just skipped my mind that was a discussion point, because there was obviously a lot of chat online about the lineup, because it was, I think, a lot stronger than people thought it was going to be, and the fact that we only named 5 subs, I think, when Newcastle named 9, so we could have named more if he wanted to. But I think Skinner has. I can't remember what he said, but there was a reason for not doing that. But Mary, for yourself, we kind of said before the game, obviously, the later the game goes on, it was always going to get easier for United, obviously, with experience and quality off the bench and all that kind of thing. But I said Newcastle presses, they weren't afraid to press the back four and really go for it. Was that maybe a surprise to you, or do you think, as these two have just said here, that Newcastle had nothing to lose really in this one, so we're always going to go out like that?
I don't know. You can kind of go both ways with a tie like that, can't you? You can either go and try and spoil the occasion, I suppose, and just sort of set up not to concede, see if you can push them to penalties, and then it's the luck of the draw from that point on. So you can try and do that. The other alternative, of course, is to embrace the occasion, to play for the fans, give them what they want to see, which is good attacking football, and try hard. And let's be honest, what's going to be a bigger advert for your game and to get people into your doors to watch your match? Is it going to be you going out there playing football, giving it a go, playing with your heart on your sleeve and leaving it all out there on the pitch? Or do you want people to come and travel, I don't know what it is, from Newcastle to Manchester, what, about 100 miles maybe, 200 miles? And then just set up shop not to win. It would be dull. Who would want to come and watch that again? It's a good opportunity, a good advert to get new fans, new people in to watch. Newcastle are going to want to get that, especially if they've got ambitions to make it to the WSL. So I think deep down, as I said, they've got a real rich footballing culture. I would imagine that their whole culture is about entertaining the fans, playing well, and winning with style. And they've done that in Tier 3, but it's a very difficult thing to do in Tier 1, as we know. So, I think they're always going to come out and try as hard as they could. And I think that's exactly what they did. And again, like you say, they weren't frightened to have a go, and that's the way it should be. Give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? We've been frail at the back at times. Why not get in there and give it an absolute go? Because you just never know. You just never know. It only takes a dodgy moment at the back, like you've just been talking about, nick a goal, and then all of a sudden it's dreamland for him. So, yeah, I think it was always going to be that way.
I think I turned to Mira when that mix up to Millie and Mary happened. I was like, God help us if they score. How loud, obviously, their fans were anyway. But I think if they would have scored, like there was already a bit of nerves going around. The people next to me, off to my right, were getting a bit kind of agitated and so on. And this is 20 minutes into a game, and I think that just kind of sums up our season because we don't know what United we're going to see right now. You're kind of a bit all over the place. We have good 10-minute spells and we drop off massively for half the game, and it's just because of that. It's been a bit hit and miss on that point of view. I see there's a couple of people talking about the goals. We're going to get to that in just a second, but I want to get back to Keris's point, and I'll come back to you, Keris, because you raised this question in terms of the lineup. Obviously, you talked about rotation. Were you expecting maybe a bit more then? Because I think when that lineup came out, that, to be fair, I think is probably our strongest 11 right now on paper. It's our usual back five. I know we don't have we don't have anyone else really apart from Evans on the bench, who's a defender right now. Usual midfield of lads, Ella Toone, Jason Garcia out wide, Jason Parris out wide, and Garcia and too many G's. Garcia and Parris out wide, and Jason in the middle. Yeah, I got there in the end. But were you a little bit surprised? And also, obviously, the point on the bench, the fact we only named 5 subs, obviously one of them being Fallon. But yeah, in Newcastle's case, they named 3 more subs than us, and we saw across the WSL, the other WSL sides named a lot more subs than us as well.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't particularly. A lot of people. I was perhaps a little bit surprised that we didn't see a little bit more rotation. It being the cup and it being against Newcastle, but I actually didn't think it was a particularly bad thing. The absence that I was disappointed with, I've seen someone mentioning in the comments, was Lisa Nelson had like a minor sort of, I think, little hamstring issue, I think it was. And Mark Skinner said he was trying to keep her safe for obviously the big games we've got coming up, which I was disappointed to see, but it's fair enough. I personally thought that in this situation, I can get as frustrated as anyone with Skinner's lack of rotation sometimes, but I thought for this game in particular, it was actually the right call because we're coming back in cold off the winter break. We've got 2 massive games coming up over the next sort of week to 10 days. And had we played a sort of B team and had our first 11 going into those next couple of WSL games without any sort of proper match day experience before it, I think that could have posed a problem. And then the second point on it for me is it feels strange to come off the back of a 5-0 win and say there were issues with the performance. But, we've spoken about, we did have a couple of shaky moments. We did have a couple of sort of ways that, people have been picking up on in the comment section, like potential issues with Jace. I thought, as always, I'm sure we'll get on to a fantastic player to watch, but was the performance perfect? Maybe not. Maybe having seen her play yesterday is something we can look at for the next games. And then also, sort of, I thought as well, we left ourselves quite exposed through the middle. And maybe had we been playing against a better quality side, then we could have been sort of punished for that. So I think playing a first team yesterday allowed us to spot those issues now in a sort of comparatively low stakes environment where we're playing against a lower quality side, and even with our potential issues with the performance, we're still able to come out and win 5-0. Naming only 5 subs is perhaps a bit more surprising. Would have been nice to see maybe a couple of academy kids in there, but then again, I suppose at the end of the day, if you can only make 5 changes, putting the kids' names in the squad lineup is as much of a sort of bucket list tick off for them if they're not going to get on the pitch. So it was surprising, but it's understandable for me.
You make a good point, obviously, with Chelsea literally in 6 days' time, potentially. Obviously, we had the camp in Malta, played PSV out there, but that was literally 2 11s in 2 different halves and a load of the academy players thrown in with those 2 squads. I mean, Barry, Mir, have you got anything else to add on the lineup itself? Obviously, we know I'm not going to talk about the goalkeeper because we do that on every single show, but obviously the rest of the team, do you think what Keris said is right there? The fact we've got Chelsea in 6 days' time, City away 3 days after that as well, that to get a bit of momentum and keep that 11, because that was what was so good last season. We had a stable 11 and it was able to build on that just to get into those games. Or would you have liked to have seen a little bit of rotation in there for this one?
I think there was never a planet that existed on which Mark Skinner wasn't going to go and put out what he felt his best 11 was for this. Why would he not? The title is pretty much in the bin. that's going to be a really tricky thing to try and do. They're going to have to probably go undefeated for the rest of the season if they're going to have any hopes whatsoever of capitalising on the inevitable Chelsea lull, which of course is not inevitable at all. But you're trying to manifest these things out into the universe as we do. But genuinely, I think this is the one. This is the opportunity that we've got. We made it to the FA Cup final last year. Why not do it again? It's a possibility. To do that, he's got to put out his strongest side. People talking about having extra people on the subs bench. There's only a limited amount you can bring on. So, you're then left in that situation as to when do you bring them on? And if you do bring them on, you bring them on against the tier 3 side. So yes, it is FA Cup experience, but I'm not convinced it's really going to help them at this stage. There's wider problems with getting academy players into top level clubs. It's not to do with whether or not they get 20 minutes to play in the FA Cup. Again, it's apples and oranges that you're comparing there. So, no, I was not at all surprised. There was an inevitable nightmare, I suppose, on Twitter of people just whinging that this is what Mark Skinner does, but it is what he does, and he picks his best players. And again, I suppose all you can really say in defence of that is that if the rest of the squad was doing the job that they should be doing, then you wouldn't need to pick the same players all the time. So, at some point you do have to look at the players as well and wonder if they are doing their bit as much as you would like. So I don't know. But yes, I think 100% he was always going to pick that sort of squad.
I'm just going to add to the end of that the only player that I am a little bit gutted that didn't start is Mallard. I think if we're going for strong teams, the strongest, and you've got a Champions League winner, she's almost guaranteed a goal. Like every game, she more or less scores. So for me, I'd have taken out Garcia. I'd have put Parris on that side, and then Mallard through the middle. Again, I don't know why he just does not want to play Mallard and Jace together. We've seen glimpses of that at the beginning of the season. I've said it before. That works so well. They understand each other. They're on that level of quality and talent that they can bounce off of each other. She obviously came on and scored, which isn't, obviously. So yeah, that's the only person for me that I was not annoyed, but just like if we're gonna, which I do think is a good idea, to play a strong team, get them ready for Chelsea, getting back into it. And Newcastle was a brilliant game to test them because they were resilient in every area of the pitch. I think you've got to start Mallard. Just let her run from the start.
I don't particularly want to get into fights today, but I am willing to. I'm a very tired boy at the moment. I'm not had as much sleep as I would have liked to have done. Can we just confirm how many subs can you use in the FA Cup? It's 5, isn't it?
It is 5, isn't it? I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So if it's 5 that you can use, which I'm fairly sure it is, based on my experience in there, there's only 5 people you can bring on, which is what he did. So naming 6 subs isn't just criminal. How can it be criminal? He's named Guerrero a midfielder, Mallard a forward, Williams a forward, Evans a defender, Galton a forward. Could also play midfield or defence, depending on what you want to do with that. And of course, PTJ. So, it's not criminal. I don't think it's criminal at all. And with regards to this bit of what's the point of the devs? Well, exactly. Like at the moment, what is? It's just a feeder club for other teams. Until you get to a point where you've got a bigger league, more games, more possibilities for the girls to play, we're never going to get to a position where they can do it. Just look at what happens on this channel. Mark's going to lose his one game. It's time for him to get the sack. Are you genuinely telling me that if he was playing the devs, you lot would all sit there and go, it's all right, though. He gave the devs a chance, so we're not going to sack him. Pull the dash. Get out of here. So, he's got to play his best.
I think it's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I want to move on to the Toone goal in a second, but I think just on the account, I would have liked to have seen 2 of them at least in the squad, just because I know you can't bring them on, but just, Sir Alex Ferguson, you speak about this a lot, just having them in and around the matchday squad, getting that experience, going to LSV, going through the pre-match stuff, and just having that experience with them. But I agree with what Barry just said. They're not going to play outside unless we get a massive injury crisis now. and then you need to start playing, and they're not going to play. Mark Skinner knows he's basically fighting for a contract at the end of the season. He needs a good run in the FA Cup or the Conti Cup because the league is basically gone, and we still need to try and secure top 3. He's under massive pressure, so he's always going to go strong, I feel, right now in these kind of games because we need the win. Like Barry, imagine we go really weak in this game, we lose. Like, oh my life. I think I said to Mia in 20 minutes, like, God, if we lose this, I'm not coming back. I'd have just stayed away, I think. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword on that one. Speaking of goals, and Toone did break the deadline. And I mean, what a strike this was, by the way. And I think I'm kind of going to incorporate Toone's whole performance in this because I'm conscious we're already 25 minutes in. We've not even covered any of the 5 goals yet. Mia, obviously, Toone's goal was absolutely incredible. The celebration to match it as well. But what do you make of the goal, Toone's overall performance, and just kind of everything about her yesterday?
Yeah, it does feel like she's woken up a little bit. Sleepy start to the season, but she's firing. Yeah, I don't really know how to sum her up, really. She was everywhere. She worked so hard on and off the ball. And, you know, she got exactly what she deserved yesterday. She's obviously just won Player of the Month. Again, well deserved. Yeah, she got a goal. She got 1 assist. Correct me if I'm wrong. She got an assist too for Keats' first goal. Yeah, she's just. It feels like she's getting back into the creative flow of things, and it looks like she's enjoying playing again. There was a good period of time towards the last stages of last season and the early stages of this season where it was like she doesn't even want to be here. She doesn't want to. I don't mean it like at United. I mean like playing football. It looks like she needs to go away for a year, not think about football at all, and then come back. But no, I'm really happy for her. The celebration was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. I'm so glad you got it on camera. Yeah, so good. She is. Yeah, she was everywhere yesterday. Pulling strings. Her vision is just off the scale. And United need that right now. They need a big game player, and she is the big game player at the minute. And hopefully she can just keep this form going.
Yeah, I mean, Karis, what do you make of the kind of overall performance? Because Mia said obviously got the first goal, which was an absolute bang. Obviously, the second one as well. It's a brilliant ball in for Parris's first one as well. But do you think this is Toone back to her best now in terms of because there was a bit of criticism? Obviously, Skinner addressed this in his interview as well when he said that it was unfairly labelled at her at the start of the season. What have you made of her? I guess because we've not had you on overall this season, but also in this game, her goal and just everything around that one.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like she's got the actual joy in playing football back, to me, which is maybe it's sentimental, but that's the thing is she was cutting such a frustrated figure at points when she had that kind of dip in form. I think the World Cup probably actually did good things for her confidence, and I think this season she's perhaps not back to her best, because I think we're still trying to work out exactly what our best front 3 is. So for a player like Toone, who wants to sort of be creating as well as shooting, to play with that whole variety of forwards is obviously an extra challenge. But I think she's been coming back into her top form. I was really pleased as well to see. I know some of us didn't necessarily rate Hannah Blundell yesterday, but I did think on the left there were a few times where Toone was kind of dropping into that left-hand side to provide the link up between Blundell and Garcia. I thought that worked really nicely. So I think that yesterday, obviously, cracking goal, and to see her have the confidence to take those pot shots again is really, really nice because that's one of the things that you love about her to watch as a player is that she backs herself to make those kind of finishes. I think this season she's been coming back into her best. I don't think she's there yet, but it's really, really good to see.
I clicked on mute like 4 times. It quadruple clicked it, so it was not having me unmute myself there. Barry, obviously, I'm conscious. Obviously, it is 7:30. I don't know whether anyone else is listening along to the draw. I've kind of got it on in one ear, just listening to the draw. They've not started yet, of course, because they say these things start at a time, and it never does. It's always about 20 minutes after they actually say it's starting. So I'm sure in about half an hour we'll find out who we've drawn. But Barry, what do you make of Toone's performance? Obviously, I've just put the player of the match on the chat, by the way, and Toone is so far right in front. We probably didn't even need to put other names on there because she's absolutely smashing everybody on that poll at the moment. But yeah, her goal, obviously celebration, the assist, and just her overall performance in the game.
I mean, number one, you're right. It was a madness. It's an FA Cup draw at the end of the day. Why they feel they've got to throw bells and whistles into absolutely everything nowadays. It's unreal. We're going to get to a point in just a few years' time. You know, Ed Sheeran singing the opening number, all sorts of things. Nobody cares. But do you not remember when you used to watch it on the telly and it was literally just like, we're going over to Wembley. That was as exciting as it got. People had turned up to Wembley. They were stood there live and a camera just went on them and two players pulled the numbers out and everyone went, brilliant, thanks for that. And everyone went about their day. And nowadays we've got to have interviews with millions of people and please, God, make it stop. Why? Not everything's got to be massive. Ella Toone, very easy with her. She's amazing. Absolutely brilliant. She has 100%. I used to check on teletext. Absolutely. Teletext was the done before the internet. I loved that, especially the bamboozle game that you can play using the colours. But that's another question and another day. She has pulled herself around from her little lull. It always happens. You know, football's cyclical. Form is temporary, class is permanent, all that jazz. And we know that she had that. We always did. It's the reason why people stick with her every single time in every single game, because you know that she just needs that bit of magic, little spark. And all of a sudden, you know, the game turns on its head. The goal itself was brilliant because she didn't just have to have the finish the way that she did. It was all the build-up play with that. And then the desire that she showed to get in front of the defender, steal the ball. And then the finish was just sublime. So, listen, I've got absolutely nothing but good things to say about Ella Toone's performance this weekend. Absolutely brilliant. Superb goal. Everything else was great about it as well. What else did you ask about with her? Her nose, yeah, it's broken. The celebration, bloody brilliant, by the way. Absolutely adore that. Avengers Assemble, they did that superbly. I want to see more of that. And if this is Ella Toone in a mask, then I think we should stick a Z on her, call her Zorro, and get on with it. Buy her a horse. Let's go.
I don't know how to follow that. But yeah, no, just on the draw very quickly, because Erling, you are right. I'm listening to it, and they're literally talking about the Premier League games at the moment. Literally, the draw should have started 6 minutes ago, and they're too busy talking about Everton and Forest and so on. Oh yeah. Oh, I've just heard them say, "Oh, for the next few minutes, we're doing a draw." Oh, just a draw, is it? Just a. Oh God, I'm just going to get annoyed. Anyway, yes, Ella Toone. I agree with what you've all kind of said there in terms of her performance overall. I think I disagree with Martin a little bit. I think the criticism was justified at the start of the season. I don't think her output was to the level of which we're used to seeing. I agree with you, Sporty. I don't think we can ever question her work rate and things like that, and her desire on the ball. We're just now seeing the end product, obviously the finishing, the assist for the second, all those kind of things. So while we're waiting for the draw, because it is just about to start, is there anyone on the panel in the comment who do people want? Is there anyone that people want and want to avoid? What kind of ties do people want? Nobody wants anyone.
You were saying beforehand, Connor, that Wolves away would be an interesting one. I mean, obviously it'd be nice in terms of they're a lower tier side, and also I back them to have sort of a good supporter base as well. I would obviously rather avoid Chelsea and City. I would love them to draw each other. And I'm hoping Liverpool can draw someone a bit like London City, who have really got a point to prove.
Me and Barry, anyone for yourself? Anyone to avoid that you want?
I'd like London City Lionesses, please.
That's a shout, actually. That's a really good shout.
Thought you'd enjoy that.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got this going on as well.
London City Lionesses have just come out, haven't they?
Yes.
So London City versus number 13, whoever that is. Liverpool.
Yeah. So number 9 has just come out. That's Arsenal.
Oh, God.
Loving this. against
God, I'm
Football
behind.
Nottingham City. Is that right?
So Arsenal versus City. So that's one
Let
big
me
team
get
out.
Let me get the numbers up.
Mine's clearly behind you guys, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
mate.
mine
I'm gonna
is
let
too.
Barry do it.
hear what you say.
And number
Barry,
one,
we're relying on you.
I think that was 1 Leicester against 3 Birmingham. Is that where we were? Leicester and Birmingham?
Yeah, it's definitely Arsenal City.
8. We have an 8. Wolves are at home.
Oh, this is the one I want. I want Wolves away.
It's number 10.
No.
Brighton and Hove Albion, conquerors of Luton.
Oh.
Exciting.
I believe we're number 15. I could be wrong, but
Shay Gibbon, I think, has pulled out a 5 here. Yes, he has. Spurs. It's really come to something. I need my glasses to come off in order to see the numbers. Against 12, that's Charlton. Nobody cares about that.
You could end up with Southampton here.
It's looking promising. Number 11,
Mm.
Nottingham Forest.
That's another tie I wouldn't mind, actually.
Well, you might get your luck. Might
Since
get
there's
your
not that
win.
many teams left.
16, it's Everton. Forest beat
Wait.
Everton.
Wait, Chelsea's still in
we're going to
this.
draw Chelsea, aren't we? We're
Don't
going to
say
draw
those
Chelsea.
words, Connor. Behave yourself. Mark Chapman's laughing. He's enjoying himself. Hey, Given has pulled out a 2. That's Southampton. Will it be Southampton away?
This is the one we need. Do not
The
draw
numbers up now.
Chelsea, I swear.
It's 15. It's
That's
Manchester
us.
United.
Okay, so
We're
Nottingham
on to
Forest.
Southampton, the first ever
Oh,
winners of the
Southampton.
FA Cup.
Southampton away.
It is
Are you
indeed.
joking?
I'm not joking. Why would I
It's
joke?
going to be a 12 o'clock kickoff.
Chelsea have just been drawn at home, of course,
So, who's
against
the other
number
team
7
left?
Crystal Palace. They ain't got far to go.
Obviously. That's a nice draw for them.
No, take
Should
that.
conclude the draw.
Okay, there we go then. Well, it's been drawn Southampton away. That is a hell of a trek for you lot up north. It's a trek from me, and I'm in the Midlands. So it's quite a distance for those up north. But Southampton away, obviously in the Championship, doing pretty well in there as well. What's everyone think on that one? Are we happy with that?
Furious.
I think everyone can give
Furious.
Abby McManus a big round of applause. She was the one who pulled us out.
I'm glad because that could quite easily have been Chelsea.
My heart's still going because I was by about 5 draws in. I was like, going to draw Chelsea. God, at least Arsenal and City have got each other. They're happy with that.
I'm just having a look to see when that is going to be. So that's going to be on the 10th or the 11th of February.
Or 11th of February.
It's going to be a 12 o'clock kickoff. You just know it. You
That's
just
if we're
know
lucky.
it.
So we should. I was just checking because obviously there's the Gold Cup happening for the women's obviously in February, and we're going to lose Jason and Jade obviously for that with Canada and Brazil. I was just checking when their camps start. Not that it matters too much, but there's a potential we won't have those two players for that one. We've definitely not got them for Arsenal, I don't think, if they're going away for the camp on that one. But yes, we'll have to wait and see. I think we should be all right for Southampton. It's Arsenal. I think we're going to be missing them from. Yeah, I think Southampton's a good draw. And I think Charlie just said there, new opposition as well, which is always good. Be another ground tick. I'll be a mate. That's going to be at St Mary's. That one, I would imagine. They're not going to put that in. I don't know where Southampton women usually play, but I imagine that's going to get moved into St Mary's, which would be nice. Hopefully, get a decent away crowd there as well.
Faux show.
That's an interest. That's another big team down. If it is obviously it's guaranteed one of the top 4, the current top 4, are going out. So that obviously would do us a favour if we can get through and obviously beat Southampton.
Are they going out or out?
It'd be good if they could go out because that would be both of them out, wouldn't it? I don't know. Everyone seems pretty happy with that one in the comments as well. And yeah, I'm pretty Midlands based as well, so that suits me. Well, I say suits me. I'd prefer Wolves, but yeah, Southampton's not too bad on that one. So yeah, not too bad. Harlan's put a different kind of question, talking about are we going to sign the fullbacks this window? Not gonna lie, I'm getting a bit worried the same as you are at the minute. We're halfway through the month and we're not even linked with anyone at the moment, or publicly linked anyway. So I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't have an answer for you. I would like to think so. We're certainly in the market for a fullback, but whether we're actually going to get one over the line or not is a different question. We definitely need, especially like I just said there with Jay going off in the Gold Cup. We're going to need players to cover, obviously, her position as well. I can't remember what the topic of conversation was before that draw.
We just finished talking about Ella Toone, Connor.
We did. Should we move on to Nikita Parris? And obviously, she got goal number 2 and 3. It was obviously the Ella Toone cross, and the third one was a slightly more easier one for her because it was basically a tap in after Garcia's shot, which was obviously saved by the goalkeeper once it was spilled into a pass. Mira, I'll start with yourself. Then, what do you make of Nikita Parris? Because I believe that is 10 goals now for the season in all comps. Again, another player. When we signed Jace and Mallard over the summer, everyone's like, "Oh, Parris is going to be dropped to the bench and is not going to get many minutes." She is the one on fire this season. I know Mallard's got a couple of goals to her name as well, but it's Parris the one that's put. People can say opposition and all this, but no one else is scoring right now. it's Parris that's getting them.
Do you know what? There's so much, and I feel like there always has been with Nikita Parris, apart from maybe when she was at City. There's always been so much like disrespect on her name. Like there's always players better than Nikita Parris in the team, in the leagues. I feel like she is so like underappreciated and has been for a long period of time. So, and to be fair, I feel like I subconsciously I'm one of those people, because you think of United's front line, I always do forget Nikita Parris, which is just criminal. But she's got a real habit at the minute of the goals that she scored weren't worldies, but she's finding herself in the right place at the right time. She's got that striker's instinct about her, and she's playing with confidence. She's playing with so much confidence, as she should be, because as you say, she's one of the, she'll be pushing for that golden boot this season. She'll be, and rightly so. Keep going for it. It was criminal that she didn't get an England call up. Hopefully that comes for her next. She's just got to keep playing how she's playing, because she is, in the form of her career right now, and I feel like it's going completely unnoticed by loads of people outside of United.
Well, I think that's the thing. So I always talk about it. We spoke about on this channel after the cup final how good she was in that final, and obviously she got hooked off the one player that would with no need to be taken off at the time. And since then, she was our top scorer in 2023. She's obviously carried that on into 2024 now. She scored in Malta. She's already scored in the first competitive game this season. Keris, what have you made of her? Because as Mia said there, and there's obviously a couple of comments saying this, it kind of Parris seems to go under the radar a bit. She's scoring in pretty much every game at the moment. She's already on 10 goals for the season. I think someone's just made the point, already beating a tally from last season. So surely an England call-up's got to be on the cards for her soon.
I think definitely. I mean, there's so many. Well, I say so many. I mainly talk about Millie Turner because she's always my favourite. But there's a lot of our players who I always look at and think, how on earth are they not making their way into that England squad more often? And she's definitely one of those. I think she flies under the radar even internally at our club because she's not a flashy personality. She's not, as much perhaps as like a showy sort of player with flair as someone like Jace. But at the end of the day, she works extremely hard. Someone was saying in the comments as well, she puts the yards in defensively. And I think she's just a fantastic presence to have in the team as sort of that solid and dependable goal scorer that we've maybe been lacking without her. So I would love to see her called up for England. And I think it's bizarre really how much she tends to fly over the radar as someone she's been at Arsenal and City, hasn't she? So it's crazy that she's not a bigger name than she is on the sort of national football discussion.
Yeah, I mean, Baron, obviously you were fully with the Parris sign at the time, so that feels like a lifetime ago now when we signed her. But as I said, there, top scorer last year, as a calendar year, in 2023, and like I said, going into this one already, she can't be dropped at the moment, can she? Like I said, another 2 goals in this one, and looking ahead to Chelsea, surely she's nailed down to start on that right hand side again.
I absolutely adore Nikita Parris because she's come good, and for me, it was never about being behind or supporting a signing or anything like that. It's just that's what you do. That's just what supporting a football club's about, isn't it? I mean, for what possible reason would you have to purchase a player and then moan about it? My stepdad's a Spurs fan, so obviously this weekend that they had Timo Werner, and obviously he was trying to give it the big on Sunday. Oh, Timo Werner's going to score, and I didn't have the art to tell him how rubbish he was. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll see. And of course, every time Werner started the ball over, I was like, unlucky. But I knew what was going on. You know, the guy's 81. You've got to try and be kind to the geezer. But the simple fact is that we knew it wasn't a great signing. But there's always the chance. If those Spurs fans just go straight in and are like, oh, Timo Werner, that's terrible. What's the point? Why are you bothering? I don't get it. It's the same thing with Nikita Parris. Was her numbers as good as they could have been when we signed her? No, of course they weren't. But that's why you take a look at the entire player, everything they've done, what they're capable of doing. Because let's be honest, all it takes is to unlock what they are capable of. That's what you're looking for. It's not just about potential. It's about have they done it before? Because if they have, they can do it again. There's a reason why she's one of the few players that scored over 50 goals in the WSL. To put anything on her name other than just that she's a fantastic player, ridiculous. And genuinely, I think anybody who felt otherwise was clearly just looking for some form of clout and for negativity. And it's ridiculous. And quite frankly, I think those people should get into the bin in the fastest possible way that they could. Nikita Parris, absolutely brilliant, doing what she should always do. And yeah, 100%. I'm just absolutely delighted for her because, as Charlie said, she gets into the right place, right time. When those crosses are coming in, she's the one who's getting on the end of them. And she was doing that last season as well. You know, to be fair, in the nicest way, I think our forwards could learn a lot from Nikita Parris.
I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about exactly this, literally talking about exactly that I feel like our other forwards need to be watching what she's doing at the moment because she's the only one at the moment that is in the right positions, getting her head on things, actually taking a shot when we get into the box. I know Toone scored one obviously a bit earlier and obviously the Williams goal, but we seem to get into the box and just panic, and it's just like nobody really knows what to do, whereas Parris is like, well, give it to me, I'll hit it. And we need a bit more of that. And like I said, to me it's no coincidence why she's our top scorer as well. Just very quickly before I move on to obviously to the last couple of goals and just, I guess, a bit more obviously on the game overall. John's question there in terms of talking about do we think Parris has improved overall as a player since coming to United? Still got the pace, but perhaps her decision making has improved. Because her record for City and for Lyon are very good. 19 in 19 for City and 13 in 20 for Lyon. Like that. This is just league alone. Like that's incredible numbers. So it's hard to say, I think, if she's improved. But I don't know. What do people think on that one? And I guess it kind of ties into Sporty's point. Maybe it's a system thing. Maybe she just suits us better than what she had at Arsenal. That's not really to any of you. That's just open to whoever wants to take that.
I'll take it. I think she is. I think it's. With Arsenal, there's so many world-class top quality players that can fill those kind of positions. So she was always sort of up against some of the best in the world. And although she's got it in her, she probably isn't that level. City, she was playing when there was no... God, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I might make myself sound stupid here. There was no Chloe Kelly. There was definitely no Bunny Shaw. So she was that player for them. Coming into United, it's a strong squad, but I feel like she's on the level with the rest of the players. Like there's no one that's necessarily bigger in terms of like quality than the others, if that makes any sense. So I just feel like she's in a comfortable environment. There's not too much pressure on her. With Arsenal, there was always competing for the league, competing for trophies, competing for everything. We've mentioned this before. Last season for United was overachieving, massively overachieving. This season, you've had a taste of what the FA Cup final did, had a taste of almost clinching the WSL title. That's now something that you want to progress and do. That's only recently, and she's now up to her level to try and facilitate that goal. But I think that was a really long way of saying I don't think she's playing with as much pressure as she did at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of summing it up. Unless I don't think it's going to be the last we're going to talk about Nikita Parris over the next few weeks. If she can continue this form and continue firing in the goals, I don't care what people say about, oh, it's only the opposition. Like I said before, right now no one else is doing it. So at least Keats is stepping up on that front and putting the goals in as well. Speaking of somebody who just comes on and gets the goals, Barry, I'll come over to you. Rachel Williams, and another player. She just comes on. I mean, the first shot absolutely careens off the top of the bar. It just flies back into play, but she doesn't give up, follows it in with the rebound. And I will just quickly say on Rachel Williams, there's always that like kind of meme going around about she comes on, smashes into somebody and all that kind of thing. She literally did. I think it was within a minute. I can't remember who it was, the poor Newcastle midfielder got absolutely flattened from Rachel Williams going into the back of her. Definitely a foul, but it's almost like welcome to the WSL kind of thing that was. But Barry, like I said, we run out of things to say about her, don't we? So just comes on, does a job, scores, and goes home, and probably she does when she goes home.
You might have run out of things to say about her. I'm now going to again. It's time for that. Is this the day Barry gets cancelled? I think that Rachel Williams is a bit like a young dog, because she comes on and my God, she just chases around absolutely everywhere. And I can't imagine what that must be like when you're stood there on that pitch, absolutely shattered, having played 60, 70 minutes already. And before you know it, there's Rachel Williams just charging at you like a little dog chasing after a ball when you've thrown it. And there's no way she's stopping. If that ball's gone past you, she's going there. And if you happen to be there, she's going through you. So I'd say less than a tank, more of that. It's absolutely unreal. Her energy levels are just off the chart, and she just never stops. She chases that ball down. She hunts it down again, like one of those hunting dogs that you can't use anymore because, country folk shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. But honestly, she never, ever, ever ceases to amaze me. She really doesn't. And she has a go, it bounces off. Somebody put earlier on that she got her own assist. You can't count an assist that goes off the bar. I'm not having that, but I like your style because it was a good idea. Hits the bar, smashed it in, absolutely honest, unreal. Like, she would be my player of the season every season just for effort, because my God, she's unreal. There's nothing else you can say other than that. Brilliant.
I think you kind of summed it up there. I mean, curious for yourself, what do you make of Williams? Obviously, coming, like I said, she obviously got the goal, but just as Barry said there, kind of her energy when she comes on, chasing everything down and almost like pushes everyone else to press with her, because everyone else around her goes, oh, we need to raise our energy here if she's doing that.
I think her attitude's pretty much unparalleled, to be honest, because there's not many players who come on and score a goal, who can be so relied on to score a goal, and who no one's going, oh, she'll be fed up if she's not in the starting lineup, because she knows that she has that sort of role of being an impact sub, and it's a role that she just plays to absolute perfection. And like you're saying, she brings on that new energy to the field every time she comes on, brings the entire line to push with her. And I mean, she's just hilarious to watch as well. I mean, she talks about how she sees herself as more of a plasterer than a footballer. When she came on, immediately clattered that Newcastle girl. I turned to my mum and said, that's the plasterer coming out right there. But oh my God, the first effort, I thought she had absolutely skied it. So I was thrilled to see it go in a minute later. But there's nothing I can say that Barry's not already said. I think she's such a fantastic influence on the entire forward line. That's a fantastic comment from John as well. Everyone else builds foundations and walls. She comes in to finish off the plastering. It's fair enough. Yeah, perhaps something she's taken for her other profession, but I rate her massively. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love that comment, by the way, Joe. I think Charlie's one as well, saying about, we're going to stand next on the touchline and instructions must be smash her, class her, a kicker, and a score. Because that's essentially what she does. I said it was literally a minute in, let them know that, let the Newcastle players know that she's there. And then, I really wish that first shot went in, because it was obviously it hit the bar, but it was almost inch perfect from the edge of the box. And it was, that would have been some goal as well. But obviously got the rebound in. But yeah, Mia, what do you make of Williams? I said, just having that option, somebody to come off the bench and rough people. Because I think I said to you actually after 20, I think it was after 20, 30 minutes when we could see them warming up. I was like, these Newcastle defenders are not going to know what's hit them if we bring Williams on in the second half here.
You feel that way, like with WSL players though. When you put Rachel Williams on, you're like, oh, apologies for what's about to happen. That Gemma Bonner just absolute clattering. It's just Rachel Williams summed up, but she's so crucial. She's so crucial. She's like a secret card that you pull out when you're struggling, and you just know she's probably gonna get a goal. And it's, she's just got that in her. And yeah, again, she's criminally underrated. And I don't care how old she is. Give her another like 10 years, she'll still be doing the same thing because she's just got that in her. But yeah, absolutely love her. And yeah, long may it continue.
I really hope so. I think we've all kind of said we just have her around the squad. If she's going to retire, obviously in the next year or 2 years or so, just have her in the coaching setup somewhere, just in and around the squad. Because I think that experience as well, her finishing ability is not spoken about enough. I know obviously we joke about her coming on clashing into people. Her finishing ability, at one point in this season, she was on 100% conversion rate in terms of shots on target to goals. She is incredible when it comes to that.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate this message? I think I agree. Williams should have her own distinct entry when she comes on, like WWE, and they do the grand entries, and we should get her own music. Imagine it. Just imagine, just before that comes on, like Stone Cold Steve Austin when he was about to leave, you have the glass just shatter. It would absolutely, and you get the New Zealanders, they do the hacker to try and put the fear of God into them before they play that. Just imagine if in the middle of a game, out of absolutely nowhere, you just get, I don't even know. Now's the time for people to start putting in, what would Rachel Williams' theme tune be? What would it be that would strike the absolute, like the Undertaker had the gong, didn't he? As soon as that went, they want to be like, oh my God, what would it be? I want to know, because when Rachel Williams gets it, that'll be absolutely unreal. And just imagine it. Up goes the scoreboard. Rachel Williams coming on 28 on. Just imagine it. The crowd would go wild. And all of the defenders would immediately just absolutely wet themselves with fear. It'd be brilliant. Then she comes running on, perhaps with a cape.
Whatever it is, can we get Jess to sing it? Because I'm not kidding. There was not a more excited person in the crowd when we saw Williams was coming on. Jess came alive in that moment because, yeah, it was quite something. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to think of something now. So obviously, the Austin one is that it's just iconic, isn't it? Like the glass shattering is just an iconic theme entrance for, especially for.
I feel like for her, the Chumbawamba song would work quite well, and you'd have to change the words. Instead of it being "I get knocked down and I get up again," it'll be "You get knocked down, you won't get up again."
Maybe we could do that. Mia's just gone round rating the playlist at LSV. Maybe we need to add some more to this. we can get this sorted.
John's onto something there. I think that's brilliant.
That's a good one, actually. What Kevin's just said there, Triple H's theme tune's an interesting one.
Would be.
Oh God. Just very quickly, Kevin, answer your question. There will be a preview on Chelsea. It won't be on Saturday though. It'll be on Friday. Where we do that one. So yes, look forward to that one. I'll come back to the show schedule later on in the. I say later on in the show, literally, as we're about to wrap up in just a second. Yeah, Jess loves her. It's a fan's favourite, of course she is. Moving on to the final goal, and before we look to kind of round this discussion off, obviously Mallard come on. Mia, you mentioned her earlier, obviously that she potentially get me words out, potentially could have started. There was obviously talk of her not being in training this week, obviously, so that was probably why she didn't start in the end, if she did have a slight knock as well. But again, another Zellum assist from a set piece. I think I said to you, I actually missed this because Jess, who's in the comments, I was too busy saying goodbye to you, Jess, as you were leaving the stadium, so I had my back to the pitch. You were walking, I was like, oh, we scored. So I actually missed this goal, so I had to rewatch it when I was in the run afterwards. But yeah, again, just Mallard kind of just killing the game off, really. It was kind of just a goal in added time. But again, it's another set piece and Mallard rising highest.
Yeah, I can't lie, I missed this one as well. I was probably,
just playing Jess. We were saying goodbye to
okay,
Jess.
sure. Sure, yeah. But just as fault as always. But I did watch it back, and it is, it's a striker's goal. She's tall. It's from what I remember. Now I might be thinking of a different goal. Was it quite scrappy? Don't come to me first. Don't cut. Maybe I'm not the person for this goal. Was it scrappy?
It was pretty sort of. I actually managed to miss the first goal, which is brilliant considering that was probably the best one. But I did catch last one as a very standard sort of, as you said, striker's goal, header down off a set piece. I wouldn't describe it as scrappy. What I did comment is that it looked like it was one of them where it looked like the entire Newcastle defence and keeper was ball watching, but there was absolutely nothing else they could have done. And I think that's sort of the quality that she brings in, sort of that directness.
I'm so sorry, by the way. I've been massively put off because if people don't, we're going to discuss it. If you haven't already, by the way, go and subscribe to All for Women's Football. We'll be live on there in about 25 minutes discussing the FIFA Pro 11. So if people haven't seen that, team has just come out just a second ago. Congrats to Mary Ella Toone from a United point of view making this one. But I'm sorry, that the squad that they've released, is this a wind-up?
Have they already done it? Have they done it?
I hope that's wrong, but I've got no words. I'm going to wait. I'm going to save my rant for when we're live in 25 minutes to go and watch that. For people who haven't seen it, it's a 3-5-2. So Maria, Lucy Bronze, Alex Greenwood, Carmona, Kira Walsh, Alessia Russo in midfield, Lauren James in midfield, Ella Toone, Bon Matti, Alex Morgan, and Sam Kerr is the 11. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to save my rant for 25 minutes because I've got a lot to say on that team because that is shocking. what team they've put out there.
You are having me on.
Yes, and TJ, you might be on to there. Maybe that's why it was in London.
Is that player voted, that one, or?
I don't know how they vote for this one. I've got to be honest.
That's voted for by the players. And I couldn't tell you who it was who said it, but one of the players did say that actually getting voted for the team of the year in some ways is better, and this is an exact quote, is better than being voted as the best player because this comes from the players and they respect the opinions of the players more. So in other words, Connor, shut up. What do you know? You don't play the game.
I can't believe it. I'm going to have to change the conversation because I want to wait for when we're on the other channel because we've literally got a whole show dedicated to this in 25 minutes. So I don't want to steal away from that show. But anyway, who are we talking about? Mallard, weren't we? Obviously her goal. Yeah, good goal, wasn't it? Yeah, just a good finish. Has anyone got anything to add on the goal? And just, I guess, the performance overall, as we look to wrap this one up, as I said, we got the job done in the end.
Fantastic corner by Katie Zellum. Superb header by Melvine Mallard. It was a 5-star performance. It's all you could ask for, really. It was a potential banana skin. There was the potential for it to go wrong. It didn't. And for that, you just got to say, well done, girls, well done, Skinner, move on. Now let's see if you can turn that into an equally good performance against Chelsea, because let's be honest, that's where it's going to matter now. You get a win there all of a sudden. I think a few people will be changing their mind, and all of a sudden it'll be, give Skinner whatever he wants. Just saying.
Yeah, I think it is just worth mentioning as well, obviously, what NT said. Obviously, Guerrero did come on for a bit at the end. It is good to see her back in the side, and hopefully we get to see a bit more of her as we obviously progress. We got 3 games in 7 days coming up, so we're going to have to see some rotation there with Chelsea away, City away, and Aston Villa on the Sunday. I would expect we're going to see some players change around in that one, especially in the first 2, with it being the 2 toughest ties in that one. So it's good to see Guerrero back fit as well. Hopefully we can get Aoife Mannion back fit as well. I know she's back on the grass now, so hopefully she's back in and around the squad very soon. So we might need some defensive cover, as I said a bit earlier. I'm not talking about bringing her straight into the team right now. I think that midfield 3 stays as it is. I don't know. And maybe that's a topic of conversation for when we did the preview on Friday, when we look ahead to Chelsea on that one. Player of the match, I nearly forgot then. I knew there was something else before I needed to wrap this one up. Who was all of your player of the matches and on the panel before I end the poll in the chat? if you want to go around the house on that one in terms of who you would have voted for and why. Barry, I'll start with yourself.
E.T. Don't need to say anymore. Explained it. She was brilliant. Assists, goals, looks like a superhero. If I was Louis Walsh, I'd go, you look like a superhero, you sound like a superhero. It's a yes from me.
Keris, for yourself?
Yeah, well, I would be copying Barry and going Ella Toone, but I'll try to be slightly original and steal Nikita Parris instead. Because again, fantastic, really solid. Obviously, it wasn't a game where the defence could have really had. They didn't have as much to do, so it was hard to sort of call out a player of the match. But I did think both our two centre backs would have been in among my top performances as well, just for staying solid as they usually are. But Paris would have to be up there for me.
Yeah, mine is Ella Toone. Yeah, she was unbelievable. Maybe there is some magic in that mask. We'll see. We'll see against Chelsea.
Indeed, I would have gone for Ella Toone as well. And to be fair, a lot of the chat agree because she did win it on 65%. Paris was the second place on 22 on that one. So, yeah, Ella Toone wins today's player of the match for the first round of the FA Cup. We'll see who obviously gets it after the Southampton game when we get round to that one. Before we wrap this up, then, Keris, where can people, obviously, great debut, by the way. Thanks for coming on this Monday evening. Where can people follow your Twitter account? I know you've got a podcast of your own as well. Where can people find all of that?
Thank you for having me. It's been great. My Twitter handle's on the screen, or X, or whatever you want to call it. It's really Keris. And me and my mate Angel also have a women's football podcast as well. It's called She's Out of Your League, which was a name Angel came up with after a bottle of wine, and which I really rate. It's on Twitter at SOOYL pod. And also it's on Spotify. It's the She's Out of Your League podcast. Cheers, Barry.
I don't know about that one. Erling, I was actually just saying, I don't know whether you've seen it, and you're on camera because those Newcastle fans that came up and ambushed us outside Ella's feet, that was filmed. So I don't know if you might want to check my Twitter and you'll see that one. Do we really have to end the show with this?
I kind of felt like as 2024 came in that we were going to move on to a new world. But, there's one thing we've learned about the showbiz industry, Connor, you got to give the people what they want.
Oh, God, have I got to ask it? Or can someone else?
Okay, so Keris, using only interpretive mind.
I have literally no idea what's coming here, so I'm interested to see what this is.
You'll like it. Not a lot, but you'll like it.
Okay.
I would like you to now imagine in front of you there is a juicy burger. Using me has lost it. Using interpretive mind. Could you show us how you would eat such a thing?
Oh my God. What's interpretive mime in this context?
Just show us how you'd eat a pizza. There you go. That's it. You've used the hands. There's the interpretive mime. What you didn't do was go.
Why? Who did that?
Absolute weirdos. That's who.
Yeah, that person me is pointing at to her left. Like, just shocking.
At this point, she's pointing to a comment by Andrew Wall. That wasn't great.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. There you
Works
go,
on my screen, guys.
Keris is welcome back anytime.
Yeah, so that's the seems to be the running theme on this channel because I once admitted that you should use knife before, and I've been roasted ever since for it. And the Geordies didn't like it either. They were really offended when I said that on the preview show.
You got out alive.
I know. I said that video is pretty funny, to be fair, when they just ran up to us and was like, "This is how you eat it." So yeah, that's on my Twitter if people want to go and find that. Right, we'll wrap it up there. And as I said, thanks to everyone in the comments. You've been absolutely brilliant. As I said, we're literally live in 18 minutes. Go and subscribe at All for Women's Football. You'll find us over there talking about this 11 that's been picked and all things in between. Obviously, we're going to talk about the omissions as well because there's been a lot of players that we feel have been left off the shortlist that should have been on there as well. So we're going to get into all of that. There's a show coming out on Wednesday, finally. I've been saying for a while, myself and Miriam have finally recorded a little tactical breakdown of the defence and the midfield. That'll be out on Wednesday. We recorded that over the weekend. It's very it's a very good watch. I felt I watched it back yesterday, and it's we go into detail. You can see me slowly get more and more annoyed though the more we break down what's gone wrong in our backline and midfield this season. So make sure you give that a watch. It's definitely worth it. On that one, as I said, the preview will be back on Friday as we look ahead to a huge game at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea on that one. Make sure you're following the Twitter, the TikTok, literally every platform we're on is All For United WFC. That's all you need to know on that one. As I said there, All For Women's Football if you want to go and watch us over there in about 15 minutes time. Following all these three, make sure you're liking the video, subscribing, all of that stuff, and we shall see you guys in the next one.